There is something happening in your chart today, Sagittarius, that touches three separate rooms of your life at once: your relationships, your home, and your sense of self. And almost no one watching this will realize how rare that convergence actually is. Stay with me, because by the end, you will understand why today feels heavier and lighter at the same time. Let us start with the big picture, because today's sky is genuinely layered. On the daily level, the moon is moving through Aquarius, and in Vedic tradition, this placement often stirs a subtle unease around one specific personal matter. Nothing catastrophic, just a nagging feeling that something in your life needs attention. From the Western tropical lens, the more significant story is a trine between mental Mercury and the moon, an aspect that essentially opens a door between your thinking mind and your emotional undercurrent. When these two planets link up harmoniously, buried feelings that you have been quietly managing tend to surface, not explosively, but insistently, like a tide that will not be ignored. Here is where it gets interesting. This Mercury-Moon conversation is happening while the moon itself sits in your fourth house of home, trining Mercury in your eighth house of shared resources. That is a very specific configuration, and it matters because the eighth house governs intimacy, debt, and the emotional truths we usually avoid saying out loud. So today is not just about feelings rising, it is about feelings rising specifically around home, money, trust, and the people you are closest to. Then there is the longer arc, the one that has been running through your entire year. You are currently living through a historic cycle, activating your fifth house of romance and self-expression and your seventh house of partnership. This is life path territory, not a one-day transit. And it is the reason relationships in your life may have felt like they are on a start-stop-start rhythm lately, or why you might find yourself drawn toward a completely different kind of connection than before. Whether that feels like winning or losing in the moment, many people with this transit describe it as strangely liberating either way. So here is the thread connecting all of it. Take a breath here, because this next part is personal. If you have been feeling like conversations with a partner or family member keep almost happening, then stalling, that is not your imagination. The eighth house Mercury wants disclosure. The seventh house cycle wants authenticity. Put those together, and you get a day custom built for real talk, especially about money, security, or where a relationship is actually headed. The problem is, a lot of people in this position choose the loud, dramatic version of honesty, a blunt confession dropped without a plan. That rarely lands the way you hope. What tends to work better is naming the actual issue calmly, then offering one concrete next step, rather than just airing the feeling and walking away. This matters most in love, where the mixed signals you have been sensing lately are not necessarily about anyone lying to you. They are more likely a symptom of that longer partnership cycle still finding its shape, especially if you have recently shifted from one kind of connection to another. If you are currently attached, this could be the day you finally say the quiet thing about what you need. If you are single, that same energy might show up as clarity about what you no longer want to repeat. Either way, the invitation is the same. Name it plainly, once, without the drama. But here is what almost every horoscope skips over. There is a second wave coming. As the moon shifts into fiery Aries later in the day, your hedonistic instincts may suddenly take the wheel, tempting you toward whatever feels indulgent, distracting, or thrilling in the moment. This is not a moral failing. It is just Sagittarian fire responding to Sagittarian fire. The trick is knowing the difference between a spontaneous spark and a decision you will regret tomorrow. A hot, exciting moment does not automatically mean a lasting commitment, and keeping that distinction clear will save you some confusion later. Professionally, this same emotional honesty theme extends into how you handle information at work today. You may notice useful details coming your way, perhaps through a conversation or a document you would normally skim past. The energy favors focus over gossip. If a colleague tries to pull you into office drama, The wiser move is to stay near the useful signal and let the noise pass through you. Your reputation right now benefits more from being the person who handles things quietly and competently than the one who has an opinion on everything. That same steady, practical instinct extends beautifully into your finances today. This is a genuinely favorable window for reviewing investments or making a grounded financial decision, especially anything tied to shared resources or a joint account, given that Mercury is sitting right in that eighth house zone. If a money conversation with a partner or family member has been looming, today's aspects make it easier to approach without it turning into a fight. Just remember what we touched on earlier: specificity beats intensity. Naming one number, one date, one adjustment will do more good than a long emotional speech. Now, here is the piece that ties everything together, the detail that makes today genuinely uncommon. You have a Moon Mercury trine encouraging emotional honesty at home. A Moon Mercury trine in a completely different set of houses, encouraging honesty in shared resources, and a multi-year cycle in your fifth and seventh houses, quietly reshaping how you do intimacy altogether. Three separate signals, three different time frames, all pointing at the same lesson. Stop rehearsing the conversation in your head and just have it, imperfectly, out loud. That is the truth bomb worth sitting with today. Once that insight lands, it naturally spills into how you care for yourself. If sleep has felt elusive lately, that is likely connected to all this unspoken emotional material circling in the background. A calming wind-down routine tonight, something as simple as journaling for 10 minutes or sitting quietly without a screen, may help more than you would expect. Some Vedic practitioners might suggest wearing green today as a general, gentle way to invite steadier luck. And that kind of color-based suggestion is safe for anyone, unlike more individualized remedies, such as specific gemstones, which really do require a full birth chart reading before they are recommended responsibly. If you are curious about deeper remedies, that is a personal chart conversation, not a one-size-fits-all instruction. As the day moves into its quieter hours, home and family take center stage again, and this is where the earlier theme fully resolves. A conversation with someone close to you, maybe about money, privacy, or an old unspoken worry, may arrive more easily than expected. The instinct might be to keep things light with a joke, but staying with the real subject, even briefly, tends to build more trust than deflecting ever could. Trust rarely grows from grand gestures. It grows in ordinary rooms, when two people choose to stay in an uncomfortable conversation instead of leaving it. If travel crosses your mind today, particularly somewhere like England, it may carry more emotional weight than a typical trip, perhaps tied to the same theme of connection and honesty playing out somewhere unfamiliar. And if you find yourself wanting a moment of quiet reflection, that impulse fits the day perfectly. This is a good night for something spiritually grounding, prayer, meditation, or simply sitting with your own thoughts without rushing to fix anything. For anyone who wants the quick version to carry with them, your lucky window today falls between 3 and 5 in the afternoon. Green is your supportive color, and your energy runs best when paired with patience rather than urgency. So if you take one thing from today, Sagittarius, let it be this. Follow through on the plans you have made with people who've missed your presence. Choose one honest, specific conversation over a vague emotional outburst. Protect your evening wind down instead of numbing through it. And when that Aries fire tempts you towards something impulsive later, keep someone steady nearby. You came into today sensing that something needed to shift. Now you know exactly what it was, and more importantly, you know it is already moving in your favor. If this reading felt like it was speaking directly to your week, stay close, because tomorrow's sky continues the same story.